In a moment that left fans sobbing, cheering, and completely breathless, Jungkook of BTS has officially joined Jin's Jin Seokjin EP tour. Not just as a guest, not just as a brother, but as someone fulfilling a sacred promise made 2 years ago during their shared military service. And yes, it's the kind of emotional bombshell that armies never saw coming, but secretly always hoped for. BTS Jin prepares to kick off his first ever solo world tour in Goyang on July 12, 2025. Insiders revealed this week that Jungkook will accompany him on several key dates across Asia, Europe, and North America, but what fans didn't expect was why. According to multiple trusted sources within HYB and military acquaintances, Jungkook once made a personal vow to Jin while they were both serving in the South Korean army. "If you ever go on a solo tour, I'll be there, no matter what. I'll stand by you, even if I'm not on stage." It wasn't a publicity stunt, and IT wasn't for the cameras, IT was real. Flashback to 2023. Jin, the eldest BTS member, was months into his service, and Jungkook had just joined him in the division. During one freezing winter night, according to a soldier who served with them, Jin expressed doubt about his future as a solo artist. He feared that the world might move on while he was away. In response, Jungkook reportedly looked him straight in the eye and said, "Hyung, when you sing again, I'll be in the front row, even if it's just me." Those words, it turns out, were not just comfort. They were a promise, and now he's keeping it. The internet exploded this morning as Ticketmaster crashed briefly due to a surge in demand following the official confirmation that Jungkook will appear alongside Jin during multiple dates, starting with Chicago, Osaka, and Amsterdam. Although HYB has remained silent about whether Jungkook will perform, fans spotted leaked soundcheck footage of the two rehearsing together. One snippet captured a raw, acoustic version of Epiphany, with Jungkook harmonizing softly in the background. The clip has already racked up over 18 million views on TikTok within 6 hours. This is what brotherhood looks like. This is BTS. Army fan comment with 100K plus likes in an emotional video posted to Weverse. Jin finally addressed the news. He didn't tell anyone, not even staff. He just showed up in the practice room 2 nights ago. I turned around, and there he was, holding his mic and smiling. "Jungkook, you always keep your promises." Armies across the world were brought to tears as Jin's voice cracked with emotion. Many described the scene as more touching than any scripted drama. Whispers from HYB staff suggest a brand new unreleased duet between Jin and Jungkook may debut live on tour. Rumored to be titled Beside You, the song reportedly explores the themes of loyalty, distance, and eternal connection, a tribute to their bond forged through both fame and uniform. The only clue? A single handwritten lyric leaked online. "Even when the lights go out, your shadow sings beside mine." Fans are already theorizing the song could be the emotional centerpiece of the tour. While Jin has been the center of attention leading up to the tour, fans have now spotted Jungkook behind the scenes, holding Jin's water bottle, helping coordinate lighting cues, and chatting with dancers like he's part of the crew. One viral photo shows Jungkook backstage in sweats, no makeup, holding Jin's lyric notebook while grinning ear to ear. The caption, "Not a guest, not a performer, a brother." This isn't just a story about a tour. It's about what it means to stand by someone you love, not in the spotlight, but in the silence between songs. Jungkook's gesture is a reminder that loyalty, friendship, and brotherhood still matter in an industry often driven by numbers and noise. For ARMY, this is one of the most beautiful full-circle moments in BTS history, and as the world watches Jin take the stage solo for the first time, he'll never really be alone. What makes this moment even more profound is how quietly it unfolded. No official press release, no bold headline announcement from HYB, just a natural, sincere act of love and loyalty between two brothers who have weathered everything from global fame to military fatigue. While Jin was pouring his heart into rehearsals, finalizing set lists, and preparing emotionally for what may be the biggest solo moment of his life, Jungkook was moving silently behind the scenes, making sure he could be there, not to take the spotlight, but to hold the light steady for someone he cares deeply about. Those who were present in the rehearsal studio 2 nights ago described the atmosphere as sacred. Jin was working through a stripped-down piano version of Moon when the door opened. No one spoke at first. Jungkook simply stepped in, placed his bag on the floor, and stood at the back of the room with his arms folded, listening intently. When the final note played, Jin looked up, saw him, and for a long moment, nothing was said. Then Jin walked over, and they embraced silently. Longer than expected, longer than words could carry. It wasn't until later that staff realized Jungkook had already memorized portions of Jin's setlist. He wasn't just there to cheer. He was prepared, emotionally and musically. That's when the rumor of a duet began to circulate. Sound engineers heard them humming together in harmony at 1 a.m., and though the doors were closed, a few seconds of breathtaking melody spilled into the hallway. No cameras, no production, just two voices, stripped raw by months apart, and filled with meaning only they could fully understand. By the time news hit Weverse and Twitter, armies were already up in arms with excitement and emotion. The hashtag Jungkook reunited trended within minutes, accompanied by fan cams, military-era throwbacks, and messages like, "This is why we love BTS," and "They're not just idols, they're family." Some fans even dug up old military letters, where Jungkook had hinted about walking the road with a certain hyung when the time is right. For Jin, this tour was never just a professional step. It was personal, a test of self-worth. A declaration that he could stand alone after years of being part of something larger. But perhaps the most beautiful truth is that he doesn't have to stand alone. Not when Jungkook is quietly standing beside him, holding a second mic, or simply waiting in the wings. The Goyang opening show is now being billed by fans as a resurrection of BTS's emotional power, not in numbers, but in connection. Even if other members are not physically present, their spirits are, through letters, calls, or quiet encouragement. But Jungkook being there in the flesh? That's something else entirely. That's devotion. That's the kind of brotherhood that defines eras, not just groups. As the tour draws near, speculation intensifies about how Jungkook will appear on stage. Will he sing a verse with Jin during The Astronaut? Will they perform Epiphany together, with Jungkook harmonizing from the shadows? Or will he remain quietly off stage, helping Jin through each city, like the silent anchor he has always been? What is certain is this: when Jin walks out onto that stage in Goyang for the first show of his solo life, he will not be alone. Behind the lights, beneath the roar of the crowd, and through the heart of every lyric, there will be someone there who made a promise in the cold of winter, and kept it no matter what. Jungkook didn't need a stage. He didn't need a spotlight. All he needed was a reason. And Jin was always that reason. This tour may be called Jin Seokjin EP, but for many fans, it's becoming something more, an emotional journey not just of one artist, but of a bond that continues to run deeper than anyone outside of BTS can truly understand. As the countdown to July 12th ticks on, one thing is absolutely clear. This is not just a tour. This is a love letter in motion. And Jungkook, as promised, will be right there, every step of the way. And so, as fans around the world mark their calendars and refresh their feeds for any new detail, the anticipation doesn't just lie in Jin's setlist or stage design. It now pulses with the emotional weight of this reunion. This is more than a concert. It's a living story. A brotherhood unfolding in real time. A vow made in silence being honored on a stage lit by global eyes. Journalists in Korea are already calling this the most emotionally significant tour in BTS history, not for its production value, but for its heart. Jin, known for his strength, his resilience, and his quiet leadership, now enters the next chapter of his life not as a soloist seeking validation, but as an artist lifted by love. And Jungkook, the youngest member of BTS, often dubbed the Golden Magne, is proving once again that his greatest talent may not be his voice or dance, but his unwavering loyalty. When Jin spoke to a small group of fans during a rehearsal preview, he didn't mention choreography or lighting cues. He didn't talk about set lists or sales. Instead, he looked out at the dimly lit seats and said quietly, "I was scared. I didn't know if I could do this alone. But now I'm not alone." His voice cracked when he added, "You all are here, and someone else is here, too." He didn't have to say Jungkook's name. Everyone felt and backstage footage leaked just hours after. The two were seen walking together late at night through an empty stadium. Jin with his hands in his pockets. Jungkook with a speaker tucked under one arm. They weren't talking. They were just walking. And that silence said more than any press release ever could. Armies around the globe have begun organizing tribute projects at each tour stop. Ocean light waves, banners with the words, "You kept your promise," and coordinated fan chants that include both Jin and Jungkook's names. Already, banners are being printed in English, Korean, Japanese, and Dutch, ready to fill venues across continents with a message of eternal support. Some fans, overwhelmed with emotion, are even booking tickets to multiple cities just to witness these rare moments in person. Travel sites have reported a spike in last-minute flight searches from Seoul to Amsterdam and Tokyo to Anaheim, directly tied to Jungkook's tour announcement. Hotels near each venue are selling out faster than expected, with fans hoping for even just a glimpse of the pair off stage. Meanwhile, international music critics are paying close attention. Rolling Stone Korea called the Jungkook Jin collaboration a return to what made BTS special in the first place: raw connection, honesty, and an unbreakable human bond. Time Asia described Jungkook's appearance on the tour as a defining act of modern artistic loyalty. Even Variety praised the emotional ripple effect of the reunion, saying, "In an industry obsessed with numbers, this was a reminder that moments still matter more than metrics." And perhaps that's what this tour is shaping up to be, not just a musical event, but a healing moment. For Jin, who steps back into the spotlight after a long silence. For Jungkook, who chooses to step in quietly, without fanfare. And for millions of fans, who feel like they're reuniting with something they feared they might lose. For now, no one knows exactly how many cities Jungkook will appear in. No one knows if the rumored duet will be officially released, or if it's destined to live only in the hearts of those who hear it live. But in a way, that uncertainty adds to the magic. Because this isn't about promotion. This is about presence. And in the story of BTS, presence has always been the most powerful thing. When the lights go down in Goyang on July 12th, and Jin walks out to the deafening roar of tens of thousands, he won't be alone. Behind the curtain, behind the crew, behind the emotion, there will be one familiar voice waiting, ready to stand by him. Not as a backup, but as a brother. Jungkook's promise was never for show. It was quiet. It was pure. And now it's real. This isn't just Jin's tour. This is their moment, and the world will be watching. As the days inch closer to the opening night in Goyang, South Korea, the emotional atmosphere intensifies, not just for Jin and Jungkook, but for armies across the globe. There's a quiet electricity in the air, the kind that only surrounds moments that feel like history before they even happen. Rehearsal videos that have begun to quietly circulate through fan networks. Jin appears more radiant than ever, focused, calm, and full of purpose. Yet in the rare moments when the camera captures him turning to the side, speaking softly, or smiling with a mix of nerves and anticipation, you can almost always see Jungkook standing near. He's not posing, not seeking the camera, he's just there. Grounded, constant, like a lighthouse, keeping its beams steady no matter how dark the ocean becomes. Fans who have followed BTS for years recognize the deeper meaning of this. Jungkook has always looked up to Jin, not just as a fellow artist, but as someone who guided him when he was a scared 15-year-old stepping into a world that moved too fast. Jin, in turn, always treated Jungkook as more than just the youngest. He saw him as someone full of potential, but also someone who needed gentle strength and quiet reassurance. Now, in 2025, that dynamic has evolved. The student has become a protector. The youngest now helps hold up the eldest, not out of obligation, but out of devotion. Jungkook's presence on this tour is not about nostalgia. It's about respect, about memory, about fulfilling a silent bond that was never about fame, but about family. And fans know this. That's why they're not just buying tickets. They're preparing like it's a pilgrimage. Fan sites have launched global Jungkook support projects with fan-coordinated hotel stays, group gatherings outside venues, and even donation campaigns for mental health charities in honor of their bond. One project, titled "You Kept Your Promise," features a coordinated banner drop at every stop of the tour, with fans instructed to raise signs during The Astronaut that simply say, "Thank you for showing up." The messages pouring in on social media are nothing short of overwhelming. "I cried watching the clip of them rehearsing Epiphany," one fan posted on X, "because I realized I missed this kind of love. Not romantic, not flashy, just real, steady, unconditional love." Behind the scenes, staff have quietly revealed that Jungkook has become involved in more than just emotional support. He's been assisting with vocal warm-ups, giving feedback on lighting sequences, and even helping Jin with wardrobe adjustments when the staff is overwhelmed. More than once, he's been spotted sneaking snacks into Jin's green room. And when asked if he would consider stepping on stage for a full performance, he reportedly shrugged and said, "I'm just here for him, whatever he needs." That statement alone has now become a slogan on shirts, posters, and even temporary tattoos worn by armies heading to the tour kickoff. "I'm just here for him." Even international artists have begun to take notice. Coldplay's Chris Martin reposted a snippet of Jin and Jungkook harmonizing during rehearsal with the caption, "What a beautiful reunion. Family always finds a way." Other celebrities have chimed in with support, calling the bond between the two a new standard in artistic loyalty. But despite the growing media attention, the story remains deeply personal. And perhaps that's why it's resonating so powerfully with fans. In a world often dominated by superficial partnerships and fleeting fame, this moment between Jin and Jungkook feels eternal. Rooted, sacred, and truth. This reunion was never about spectacle. It was always about healing. Jin, stepping into his light after months of silence, surrounded by strangers, but comforted by one familiar soul who never forgot him. And Jungkook, finding new purpose not by taking the stage, but by standing behind it. As fans prepare for the first show in Goyang, whispers grow louder that something unforgettable will happen on night one. Some believe Jungkook will join Jin for the final chorus of Moon. Others are convinced he'll quietly appear during the encore, walking out not with a mic, but with a towel and a water bottle, like he did during their early trainee days. Silent support that speaks louder than words ever could. But whatever happens, the message is already clear. This is not just a concert. It's a reunion of souls, a homecoming of the heart. And when the lights go out and the stadium is filled with stars, both in the sky and in the audience, two figures will stand closer than ever. One singing, one watching, both shining, because some promises don't need to be shouted, they just need to be kept.